Hello again. We've progressed quite a bit since the last video. In this video, we're going to go through the design of the landing. I'll take you through the tiling that we've done and also the fire blanket and the perlite render to complete the dome. At the end of this video, I'll also throw in a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, things that I wish I'd have done better, that I think you'll find very useful if you're looking to build your own wood-fired oven. Took a few weeks for head scratching to figure out how to do this landing. In an ideal world, I would have bought some big pieces of granite and had them cut and fit, and that would have been amazing, but that was outside of my budget. So I needed something that would be hard-wearing enough to drag pots and pans across and sort of hardy enough not to crack with the heat of pots coming out. So I've settled on these quarry tiles. Which these 150mm square quarry tiles, in the UK they were about £1 or so each, so very, very cheap. And I think they look great. I'll run you through the design in SketchUp. I needed enough space to put pots and pans, so I think I could kind of fit a pizza on the corner, and my pots and pans around the side. So I was kind of happy. We've overhung a little bit, so I ended up casting a slab of concrete underneath. I did try bricks and blocks and other things, but I wasn't comfortable with that. I think casting the concrete slab was the right call, and I'm really happy with it. It looks nice. It looks neat. I'm just cleaning it down at the moment because it's covered in concrete and lime dust from building the dome. But overall, happy with that. For the tiling, I've gone with some standard porcelain tiles. We ended up with 3 tiles in total. So these are 1.2 meters long by 600mm wide and about 9mm thick. Nothing special, just standard porcelain tiles suitable for indoor or outdoor. They cut down quite easy. I just used an angle grinder. Although I did make a mistake. Stupid. I don't know what I was thinking about, but the first one I cut on the back side of the tile. I think I was thinking that it'd be easier just to mark it out rather than marking on the front where I couldn't see the lines that I needed to go to. But I quickly learned that that's not the way to do it. That cracked the tile, and yeah, it's a failure. But thankfully, I didn't waste any material. As soon as I switched it over, I laid a bit of masking tape down and cut over that, and that was fine. I'd done in SketchUp, I'd done like a top-down view and marked out every 300 mil. So and I took that plan with me to the shop so I could work out of the varying sized tiles that they had, how many I needed and how they would fit. And as it turned out, I just needed 3. So there's sort of 1 tile on that side, 1 tile on this side, and then just a couple of bits on the back. They went in easy enough. Just a better standard adhesive, drop that in. I've done black grouting on everything. And then just finished off with a bit of metal trim. So this is aluminium trim. I've just come over 15 mil on the front. That will allow me to do some nice render on the front here. The back bits nobody will ever see, so they're just flush on. And that's it really for the tiling. It was pretty quick, pretty straightforward. I did the tiling, well, I didn't build the landing first and did the tiling first before doing the dome completely. That just allows me to run the render over the top of the tiles, saves having to cut them accurately. Last job was completing the dome. I wrapped the dome in 2 layers of 5 blanket, so that gave me the 50 mil insulation. That went on very straightforward. It's just a case of climbing, wrapping it around, cutting out bits. It was very, very simple. Secured that down with the chicken wire and some other wires. So I put little screws all the way around at the bottom, and then I could tie the wire to that, and then it was just a case of tightening up the chicken wire. There's plenty of videos on the internet for that, but there was no real issue. Then it came the Perlite render. That was a bit trickier. It was certainly a good workout. I ended up doing 4 layers and built it up over 4 layers to try and get the full 50 mil. First layer, just used my hands, and it was just a case of forcing it into the chicken wire and sort of getting it on however I could. That wasn't too bad. It was a little bit of a workout for the arms, but that went on okay. So each of the layers I'd used, 10 litres of perlite, and then 2 litres of washed sand, 2 litres of general cement, and 2 litres of hydrated lime. That was the recipe that I was following. So the first sort of scratch layer that went onto the chicken wire, that took 2 batches of those. And then each of the layers after that was 2 batches plus a little bit more. So if you mixed it in 2, just add a bit more than that. So like 10 and a bit litres, maybe 11, 12 litres of perlite. Kind of do it proportionally that way. I'm not an expert renderer at all, but by the time you've done the first sort of 3 layers, you've got a good feel for it then. So I'm using a trowel, and it's a case of just pushing it in, but trying not to drag it at all, because as soon as you start dragging the render around it, it just fell off. Also found that using a slightly wetter mix made it a bit easier to get on as well. But certainly by the time I got to the last layer, it was like an expert I was. So I could sort of trowel it on and kind of float it off at the same time and get a reasonable finish. And I'm quite happy overall. I thought I was a bit worried that I'd end up with a funny shaped ball with dips and all sorts in it. But I think on the whole, it's pretty good for somebody who doesn't know how to do rendering. So it's also very, very smooth as well. So by the time you've done the last layer, you're kind of getting used to floating it off as you go as well. I was very nervous when it came to installing our little Home Assistant project box here. In the end, I've sort of installed the thermocouple has gone in there. There's a bit of wires connecting to the box. The box is sort of kind of loose. I can pull it out if I need to do any repairs. And then I channeled along here the wires so they come out the back and they can all be hidden away. And then I left that for as long as I could. I've done a series of basic curing fires. I still haven't fired it up full just yet. And I sort of gave it a few days, try and let everything dry out, and then switched it on, and fingers crossed, it all booted up, came to life, and it was brilliant. So I'm very impressed with that. Right, so here's the moment of truth. I'm not sure how damp it is inside. It's been a few days, so we now need to see if our thermometer is working. We're unsure whether or not the connections, with it all being encased in concrete, whether the concrete would conduct electricity, would interrupt the resistance sort of checking of the wire. I don't know. So we'll find out now. Fingers crossed. Woohoo! We're good. Happy with that? Looks like we're working. I wasn't sure if the concrete, with having moisture in it, whether or not that would be conductive, but as it turns out, we're all good. All good. So over the moon with that. That's been recording. I've got at least 3 or 4 days worth of oven temperature data now in Home Assistant, so I can start to see the profile of how fast it takes to heat up and how slow it takes to cool down. So at the moment, I've only taken up to 156 degrees. That's the maximum I've done so far, just with the small curing fires. So it seems to take a good maybe 10 or 12 hours possibly at the moment to come down from 150 degrees down to sort of 70, 80 degrees. So I don't know whether that's the same at the higher temperatures when I take it up to 400 degrees, but we'll see. I'm sure I'll do many videos on that, when we start cooking and actually profiling the oven and seeing what insulative sort of profile we've got. Right, tip number 1. I mentioned this earlier, but for the render, I started off with a very dry mix because I didn't want it to be sloppy. So the very first one I put on with my hands, and it was very dry. But as I noticed as I went through each layer, I made it a bit wetter and a bit wetter. So it wasn't sloppy, but it was a bit wetter than sort of I'd imagined anyway. And that made it a lot easier. I can actually spread it across the dome, and it's still stuck. So as long as you pushed it on and worked it, it would actually then grip onto the dome. So yeah, first tip is perhaps add a little bit more water than you'd think. Obviously that's going to be down to yourself to figure out, but that I started with the dry mix and then sort of add a little bit more water as you go. Certainly by the last layer, having it quite wet made it a lot easier to float off. Tip number 2 is protect your tiles. Rendering the dome was the messiest thing ever. I wish that I'd have sealed these when I first laid them. I wish I'd have just gone over it with some tile sealant, just to avoid the concrete and the lime staining that there is. Although I don't think it's staining, it's just everything's covered in lime and it's got a lime haze on it. And also the tiles, I've noticed as I've cleaned them off, they've got loads of little scratches from the Perlite render where I've cleaned it. So as best you can, if you can protect your tiles, maybe cover them in plastic or something, that is going to save you a whole heap of trouble afterwards. I think I can buff the scratches out, and then these porcelain tiles, it is recommended to reseal them afterwards using a porcelain seal. So again, I think hopefully once I've resealed them, that'll get rid of most of these tiny little scratches. But if I'd have known, I would have protected it better. Tip number 3 is cutting the tiles. Don't be an idiot like me and cut the tiles from the wrong side and end up cracking them. And yeah, just take your time. I think I'd cut a whole load of these on the side and I was rushing. I didn't double check the sizes, so I had to cut them again. I think same with everything. Just take your time, measure twice, cut once, they say. So if I could give myself a piece of advice, it would be that. It's just take your time, really think it through, cut the tiles as you go in, and cut the face of the tile upwards, not the bottom. Last piece of advice is probably just me, but this whole front landing I cast as a solid block of concrete. I built a form and I didn't check the weather. So during the day here, it's been like 8 degrees to 10 degrees, but then at night it's been dropping to 0 and -1. And I didn't realize that. So as I laid the concrete or cast the concrete out, overnight it was dropping down to 0 degrees. And I should have realized, but it's recommended not to cast concrete below 5 degrees because it could potentially stop the curing process and the water inside could freeze, especially if it's open. I didn't cover it either. So thankfully it did cure. It took the best part of a week for this to cure. I mean, certainly for the first 3 or 4 days, I could actually dig into the concrete. It was just brittle. But like I say, it got warmer towards the end of that week and it did cure. But it was a bit worrying there for a few days. So yeah, check the temperature, check the weather before you do this, especially if you're doing it in sort of winter, early spring like I am. So I'm currently finishing off the curing fires. I'm just about to light another one now. I think maybe one more sort of medium curing fire, and then I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do a full firing of the oven. I've not seen any cracks in the main dome. There is one tiny crack here on the flue gallery, I think from this arch getting warm and the flue gallery itself getting warm. But I was expecting a crack somewhere. And I think I've done very well so far. And I'm going to paint this as well, so you won't see those eventually. Right, our next video is going to be cooking. We're actually going to cook something in the oven. I can't wait. It's obviously got to be pizza to start with. I'm hoping over time we'll progress to some stews and some tagines, and we'll start experimenting with recipes and bulk cooking things. And I'm looking forward to tying in with Home Assistant, sort of see my profiles of temperatures, and then I can set up some automated processes to tell me when we're good to cook varying types of food, maybe do some braising and do some breads. So yeah, there's a lot more to come. I'll be sort of starting in the next video. Obviously, we've still got the rest of the outdoor kitchen to build. We've got the barbecue area. We've got a sink over there that I've got to build. We've got to do the floor. Lots and lots more to do. As well as painting, we've got to decorate the dome, decorate the flue gallery here. Still lots to do. So if you haven't already, please give me a like on some of these videos. It's great to get a bit of feedback from people or a comment, just to know that people are actually enjoying them. And of course, if you haven't, please subscribe. Like I said, there's plenty more videos and plenty more videos to come. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.